Hi, everyone. My name is Luke Sherrill, and this is a story of me growing up as a Native American. So let's get started. It all started 21 long years ago when I was born to a Native American father and a European white mother. So, first thing when it started is when I went to elementary school. It was 2006, I think. And one thing I said early to the friends I made, that I was part Native. Didn't say how much, because I didn't really know how much at that time. But they kind of remembered it for a long time. But then again, my school at the time was almost all white students and Asian American students. I was the only Native. But of course, having a lot of white students and me looking like them, I thought I was white. Even though people said my arms were darker and my facial structure gave away that I was Native. But they didn't really know that. I heard that in college, actually, not back then. And of course, having a white mother and looking white, I'll sometimes say stuff, and I would say that I think I'm in the white category. But my mom always reminded me, your dad is Native. You're also part Native. Now, I tried to remember that. I had a hard time doing that. My friends had an easier time remembering that. And then came middle school, 7th and 8th grade. Of course, back then, you're young. You don't really talk about race and identity with your friends that much, unless it's like for a class. And then one time in 8th grade history, in a United States history course, we were doing a unit on Native Americans. And the teacher said that she thinks of natives as wandering Asians and that they came over to America from Asia. Then a friend of mine in the class who sat next to me said, Luke, maybe you're Asian, like the teacher said. I'm like, because you're 3 is Native American. I'm like, well, I know I'm Native, but I don't think I'm Asian. And then came high school, and there you're kind of there for 4 years, about ages like 14 to 18 maybe, and that's when you get more mature, I think, and you're understanding more about race and your identity to yourself. Freshman year, 2014, I got told I was 1/4 Native. Told people about it. That was it. Next year, 2015, sophomore year, I get told I was 1/3. Told people about it again. At the time, I thought of 1/4 and 1/3, not that much. Other people said that also, except my teachers. They said that was a lot because, I'm at a school, even though it's diverse, with lots of Asians and whites, good amount of Latinos, some blacks, some Islanders, and the one Native, myself. And then I went home and asked my parents, am I really only that much Native? And then my dad told me my history, how my grandfather is full Native, and my grandmother is half, and then how my dad himself is 3/4, and how my mother is full white. So that makes me 3/8 Native. Go back to school. It's my junior year, 2016, and I tell people that I'm 3/8 Native American, and I guess that was enough to convince them of some things. Of course, back then in high school, I had fake friends, but I did not know they were fake. Some people said some cool things about natives and how I was Native. I liked that. But other people said some bad things, especially about what they eat. And they said that natives eat insects, pine nuts, and animal raw meat. I have eaten pine nuts before. It's just a nut, nothing special, nothing gross. My dad sometimes cooks Native American food, but it's nothing like raw meat or anything like that. It's just kind of some beans and some kind of sauce, I think. Not sure if it's even native, but I think it's partly. And then also, I eat normal American food that I see every week: burgers, hot dogs, chicken, sandwiches, eggs, sausage, hash browns, all that good stuff. And then, still, my junior year in the spring, it was like 2017 at that point, one day I was approached by some sophomores and seniors. And also at this time, my nativeness that I had kind of went out the whole school. Everybody knew about it, basically. Even people who were in different grades, even the freshmen who were 2 years younger than me at the time, they knew it. So those sophomores and seniors came up to me. First thing they said, "You are a Native American, right?" Like, yeah, I am. Thinking they might say something nice. I was wrong. They started to discriminate against me. First thing they said, "You're probably going to drop out of school this year or next year," because they said most natives don't earn high school diplomas. Of course, that's a stereotype. Second thing they said is that I'll probably go home and drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes or do any kind of drugs that I can get my hands on. I don't. My dad doesn't. All he does is drink one beer a day, which is like nothing. And I don't think my grandparents did anything like that either, because they didn't die yet or die of that cause. One of them died because of like a heart attack, and the other one is still alive, like 93 years old. And then, came senior year. At this point, the freshmen there are about 3 to 4 years younger than me. They somehow learned early on in the freshman year that I was native. Not sure why. They could have had siblings that were in my grade or close to my grade, or just have older friends that knew about it, and they perceived me. First thing they said about me, "He is a Native American." Second thing they said, "He dresses very well." I didn't think that. When I was in the school, I wore like Ryan shoes or skate shoes with khaki pants or khaki shorts. Just a graphic tee, sometimes a baseball cap, or gelled my hair. Third thing they said, "He gets straight A's." That's a nice thing to say, but it wasn't true. I was a BC student in high school. Last thing they said was like the only true thing about me. "He can breakdance." It's true. I've been doing it for 5 years. Still do it to this day. So I love it. Also, in my time in high school, some people get a girlfriend or a boyfriend. And girls that I knew would talk to other girls and say, "Go date Luke. He's the only native you'll ever meet in your life. You can learn about his culture, his food, his life." No girl ever dated me in high school. And then I graduated, and I decided to go to SF State for college. I came thinking of being a Native American Studies major. Get to learn more about myself. I was taking one class on it called American Indians and U.S. Laws. I found it very boring. Didn't like the class. But I still said, "I'm Native American, that's not going to change." Actually, before that, in fall 2018, I took a class called Asian American Oral Communications, also known as AAS 101. I took it by accident. I meant to take Communications 150 for that A1 requirement that we all need in lower division. I thought about dropping AAS 101 to take Com 150, but I didn't drop it. And I am very happy with that choice because it became my favorite class. And I did not know at the time, but that semester AAS 101 was an Aspire course. I really didn't know what that meant. But every student who passed the course, which was the whole class that semester, all got this certificate. says certificate of achievement designed to Lucas R. Sherrill. Aspire. Teacher signature and the two TAs. Now, Aspire stands for Asian American and Pacific Islanders Retention and Education. I'm Native. I'm not on that. Then one teacher told me, Natives do. Kind of Aspire. I thought about that. How there's not even an N anywhere in Aspire for Native. And I'm like, we're underrepresented then, aren't we? Think about it. No diplomas, no college, not even on the ward, and like there's only 3 at the most diverse school nation, SF State. I told my best friends I made here so far that I was Native, 3/8. They knew more about Nativeness than most of the people in my other schools did know. Even though I might be underrepresented in the school life, most things I have that I like a lot show Native. First off, the shirt right here, the yellow and the bears and the arrows, that's all Native American art, and I wear this shirt coming out in time. Also, my pillowcase right here kind of has like a pattern, and apparently it's like a Native American stripe pattern. This shirt right here, it says my DNA is definitely Native American. D stands for definitely, N stands for Native, A stands for American. I wear this shirt even in high school. It just shows what I really am. The last shirt right here, it says Bishop Paiute Tribe, and Bishop is a city in California about 4 hours northeast of Los Angeles, Nevada border. Paiute is the name of the Indians that I'm part of, and tribe is the tribe. I am part of the Bishop Paiute tribe. My cousins are, my uncles are, my father is, my grandparents are. Their ancestors were probably also part of the tribe. So yes, I do stuff that shows I'm Native, making this film about it, the shorts and the pillow. But in school, I'm underrepresented, I guess. So if there's at least one thing you can take from this video, it's to remember that Natives do exist in college. They are Aspire students. They are there. So please, for me and the Native American community at the school, please remember, we are there. Just like you. Thank you for watching this film.